It is December 22nd. We are the day after the official release of the Bumblebee movie. Me and Wendell, we saw it, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, a week ago or so?
Yeah, early release.
We saw the early release and everything. Now we have the official release of the Bumblebee movie. And the reviews are looking really good. There's a really good image from the tomato meter from Rotten Tomato. Now, I'm not a big guy on the opinions of other people's reviews of fiction because everyone is different and everyone has their own opinion of what they want from their fiction. But, I mean, it's one thing that's very clear, at least when it comes to this, is that Rotten Tomato pretty much lets us know that this is the highest rated of the movie, live-action movie Cinemaverse up to this point. The original 2007 movie was 57%, which at the time was the highest rated of the bunch. Revenge of the Fallen was 19. Dark of the Moon was 34. Age of Extinction was 18. And The Last Night, being the lowest ranked of the bunch, was 15. This one, as of this recording, is at 94%.
Even when you go to the website and you check out the audience score for it, it is a 82% out of 2,455 users.
Yeah,
basically. So that's pretty good.
Of official critics, the average rating right now is a 7.1 out of 10, which is, it's average, passable.
Mm-hmm. It's above. Yeah, it's above average. That's pretty good.
And so at least it's showing that it's doing really well. The only concerns that exist right now is the monetary stuff. The movie debuted with Aquaman, and Aquaman.
Yeah, it's a very, very stacked weekend because you have Aquaman, you have Mary Poppins Returns, you have Enter the Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
came out as well. Like you have a lot of movies kind of buying for family dollars this holiday season.
Yeah, and so pretty much Aquaman made $28 million, and Bumblebee just made a very small $8.4 million. Made considerably less than Aquaman did. Now, keep in mind, the budget for the Bumblebee movie is also considerably less than the past Michael Bay movies. The budget for this Bumblebee movie was $135 million, but that doesn't factor in for the huge marketing campaign that went behind this movie. Yeah. I think the Bumblebee movie probably, outside of maybe the 2007 movie, the Bumblebee movie had a huge marketing campaign put behind it from, special action figures and keychains and extra, little, media tours and all kinds of displays. I just feel like, they were going to all four corners of the globe promoting this movie hard. Obviously, another thing that hurts it is it being a December release around the holiday season. We knew that this was going to lead to less viewers and less people going to see it. Although, I don't know, it's never stopped me. No matter what time of the year it was, if I wanted to see a movie, I'd see it regardless. But somehow that is a thing, apparently.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way I kind of look at it is, you're in holiday with your family, so sometimes going to see a movie is not a big priority. Or if you're going to see the movie with the family, ticket prices aren't what they were before. They're not as cheap. So if you got a family of two, that's 4 tickets you're paying for out of pocket. And sometimes some places tickets are $12 to $15, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's not like, oh, cool, we're off from school, we're just going to go see movies at the theater all day. It's like, not really, not necessarily, unless there's a big grassroots push for it or something like that. But I could kind of see why people might be a little bit more apprehensive to go see a movie during the holiday season. It's like you got one and make that pick count kind of thing. Well, I could see that going on.
To give a comparison, the Michael Bay movie, the very first one, the 2007 one, on its opening day made $70.5 million. So again, it's a big difference in terms of success, and I really wonder what it's going to lead to in terms of Hasbro's reaction and what they want to do. Maybe it's time to look smaller and expect smaller numbers. Maybe again. I
would hope that they're not expecting the exact same numbers as the last movies. I hope that they've brought down their expectation and like, okay, this is what we're comfortable making over here, this like line mark, and anything over that is profit, is gravy. But I am really hoping that they're not expecting like the bonkers numbers they were, the amount of money that they were making before. I really, really hope they've kind of tempered their expectation with the lower budget, with the more focus on it. And because I know the sets, they were just in America for the most part. They didn't go anywhere else.
Yeah, it was a very like, when you really look at the movie, it's like it was very, like you said, focused. It was very like there's like three bedroom scenes maybe of 3 different bedrooms, one house scene, the theme park. I'm sorry for anyone if we're spoiling at this point, but it's like, I mean, and then maybe the oil tanker scene, like
because the way I look at it with the other movies, they're either going to
they're traveling around the world.
Yeah, they're going to China, they're going to the UK, they're going to Egypt, they're going to they're going to the Middle East, they're going all over the place. But I mean, like, not necessarily all those sets are really where they are, but I mean, like, some spots, like, we knew about with The Last Night, they're actually in the UK filming that movie, at different sets, and they went to not Windsor Castle, it's where the Prime Minister was, and they draped it with they went somewhere in England and they draped it with the Nazi logos just for like a shot in the movie kind of thing.
Yeah, to make it look like Germany.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, going to England to film stuff isn't cheap. The British pound is pretty strong comparatively to a bunch of other stuff, so that affects your budget as well. So I mean,
not to mention,
this was way more focused than it was before.
Not to mention the actors that were involved with the movie were all actors that are known for getting paid more. Where this Bumblebee movie, I mean, even John Cena, I mean, they're all much smaller time actors and obviously get paid a lot less. But
John Cena's more known for doing comedy movies. Like, he's in movies, but like, I think he did The Marine was his first big time movie.
Yeah.
And then I think after that I'm not gonna say for sure, he was doing more so comedies. He was the big guy that was like super funny. That was like either really ridiculous or silly, or I think in Sisters he was like their drug dealer, or something like that. So I mean, like, more so comedies.
According to BoxOfficeMojo.com, judging by the already opening viewing on a Friday night, the estimated expectation for the 3-day weekend is estimated to be probably 22 to 25 million, which is, again, according to them, is not that great for pretty much an out-of-the-gate movie. They're hoping that, I mean, let's put it this way. I think when it's all said and done, they'll get their budget back, but it's really irking along kind of slowly compared to what they were hoping for. I mean, at the same time, like you mentioned before, like Mary Poppins Returns was another one that came out that same day. That movie also had a huge budget.
Yeah.
And it didn't make a lot of money. But again, according to them, they're attributing to, because it's this late holiday December release, and people usually don't go to see movies during that time. So again, that choice to put the Bumblebee movie in December, is that what's hurting it? Is what's hurting it the fact that we had 5 movies before that, while they made tons of money, really hurt us from a fictional and storytelling standpoint, that people were fatigued and they were kind of worried that they'd be going into yet another. I mean, us who follow this stuff religiously, we knew it was a different director, but I knew, it's funny, I was at the supermarket. I was getting out of the supermarket, about to go into my car. I bumped into a coworker that I have not seen in legit 10 years. 10 years. Now, when you think about it, 10 years ago, we had that first Michael Bay movie. And I remember him talking to me, going like, "Oh, hey, did you see that new Bumblebee movie? I saw your photos on Facebook." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "So, Michael Bay did it? Was it any good?" So even him, and he's a guy who goes to see movies. Like, he's a guy who was he's a big Marvel movie guy and stuff. Most moviegoers don't know I'm pretty sure most people who see those Marvel movies, they're not really in the know of who a director is for that movie or not. They just know, hey, it's a good movie, and they know the actors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they don't know the ins and outs from the inside. Us who are religiously obsessed with Transformers, We know when there's a director switch. We know when there's a writer switch. We know when there's
and you mentioned that to him, I assume.
Oh yeah, I mentioned
I would hope he just didn't leave him there like, oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
no, totally. I mentioned to him right away. I said it's not Michael Bay, and I didn't say like who it was. I just said the guy who's doing it right now is more familiar with animation and storytelling with animation. He did a really good job. You know, like it just again, we were both. He was getting into his Tesla, just to give an idea. He works also as a mechanic. That's why it's an old coworker. So he was getting into his car, I was getting into mine, so we're just kind of like, oh, nice seeing you and everything. But the point is like it's a reminder that people aren't aware that there was a director change. So to them, it's another Transformer movie. You know what I mean? It's a Wolverine origin movie. It's a spin-off from a financially successful stream of movies, even if some of those movies were not good to, or enjoyable to the audience, so it's something that, but as it stands right now, like the ignorance could be a factor that hurt the sales of the movie, people expecting the same tired old thing. It could be that like it's just Bumblebee. It's not going to have like Optimus Prime. It's not going to have Megatron and all the other staples that I'm used to. It's just Bumblebee, and people have asked me. They've said like, a non-Transformer fans, was the movie good? Is it something that I should see? And I always say to them like, you know what? If you enjoyed E.T., if you enjoyed like that kind of movie, then it's something that you'll enjoy. But if you're not a fan of Transformers and you're just going into this as a moviegoer, I don't know if it's something you'll enjoy. I obsess over Transformers. It's my life, but at the same time, I recognize how some people won't see it the same way I do. You know what I mean? There's different expectations for different audiences, and the Bumblebee movie, while as Transformer fans we all really see it as a fresh breath of air and it's enjoyable for us, I don't know if the rest of the world is ready for that Neo Transformer era after all that time of Bumblebee movies and stuff. You know what I mean?
I think I feel out of all of them, this would be the one I would recommend to people to start with. But I think we need to miss Transformers a little bit. You know what I mean? I think we need to be like put it on the shelf for a while and be like, oh, remember that Transformer, and then come back with something new and original. But I feel like this is a good reboot, and yeah, I would definitely take a kid to go see this because I don't think it's all that intense of a movie to watch, and it's fun, and yeah, it definitely makes you want to be with them. I think that's always one of the interesting parts about Transformers is like, oh man, it'd be so cool if I got to hang out with them. And like I think that's always one of the nicer aspects of like when you're a little kid watching it. Oh, I wish I had my own, that kind of deal. And I think that movie really hits that nail on the head and makes it make sense within the context of the story that they're trying to tell, as opposed to a lot of yelling, a lot of running around with the MacGuffin and stuff like that. So that's what I kind of feel about it. I honestly hope it does well, and I hope people go and see it. But there's a lot of stiff competition out this holiday weekend.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that kind of has it has going heavily against it. A lot of stiff and good competition. Not like it's like, oh well, this movie stinks, this movie stinks, this movie stinks. Like no, everything out there is actually pretty good. Like everyone came with their best foot forward. Everyone came with their A game this weekend. So. It's tough. It's going to be really tough this weekend.
To quote the great Dusty Rhodes, you can't miss me if I'm not gone. And I think that maybe it's just been a Transformer overdrive for the casual moviegoer, and that's probably what, ultimately in the end is keeping people from stepping into the theater. I think maybe something like Aquaman, because it's a new franchise, even though they got their fix through the Justice League movie and stuff, it's something different to see. But I mean, otherwise, like, let's just hope, as it stands right now, let's just hope that we see some increase in moviegoers. Maybe the week after, maybe after the holiday season is over, there might be an increase in viewership. Because, I mean, the numbers are good at least. But if there's anything that we've learned thus far is we had 5 movies, all of them with abysmal ratings. in terms of, viewer and audience and everything like that. Absolutely abysmal ratings, but the money was huge. So at the end of the day, it's not if it's a good movie. It's a matter if you could get people into theaters from curiosity. I mean, look at Titanic and Avatar. They're not Shakespeare, but they sit on the number 1 and number 2 spot of sales and movie because of interest, because of word of mouth and stuff. At this point, Bumblebee the movie, the interest has waned and the word of mouth has heavily diminished, despite of and again, like, the budget that we have here is one thing, but they had a huge marketing campaign to really get the word out too. The join the buzz hashtag, so to speak.
But I also feel like the word of mouth is actually pretty positive. But I feel like it's gonna be hard to tell people, hey, you should see this movie when you already have like all these other really good pickings. I mean, having Spider-Man, having Aquaman, those names mean something. I think, especially the fact that people are like, ooh, what's going on with this Aquaman movie? That looks really different.
I think the internal pessimist in me also, one thing that I kind of like, I had this negative thought in my mind was, I had a lot of friends that aren't Transformer fans on Facebook that saw the Bumblebee movie and they're like, oh, it was such a great movie. But those were the same fans that came back from the last night and said it was a great movie. You know what I mean? Like the thing is that their, like I've said before, their opinions don't really matter to me because everyone is different. But it's just that even people who are coming back and saying the Bumblebee movie is great, a lot of those same people that I knew when they left Age of Extinction thought it was great. They were like, and you're wrong if you say it's not great. It was a great movie. What did you expect from robots fighting? I'm like, a little more than what we got. Like, a little more than what we got.
Robots fighting in 1, 2, 3.
Robots fighting for 3 hours is gonna burn me out.
We got robots fighting in Transformers 1. We got in Revenge of the Fallen. We got robots fighting in Dark of the Moon. I mean, I'm expecting a little bit.
Nothing wrong with robots fighting, but you got to balance everything in life.
Like, I mean, even in the animated series, the movie, they went into space. They changed it up. They were fighting on Earth this whole time.
They're fighting on Cybertron. They're fighting in space. They're fighting on the planet Junk. They're all over the place. They're on Autobot City. It's. And granted, it's animation, so you can't really compare. But the point is, the point is that you gotta keep pace, you gotta keep interest, and there's nothing wrong with the Bumblebee movie, but it's been a tough road for Transformers, for cinema and the audience, and I think that this whole experience is going to really give Hasbro a kind of reflection, especially now with their AllSpark Studios and what they're going to be doing with their other franchises and how they're going to promote it and how they're going to I think that what this is going to teach Hasbro and Paramount is, I think that December probably wasn't the best move. I'll start with that. I think I really think, still to this day, I remember the first day that we learned. You could go back in the archives of Slag here, and you could go way back in the podcast. And when we first learned the date, I was skeptical even then. And I was just going like, really? December? Like, I mean, I look back at like every cult classic that came out around that time, from Nightmare Before Christmas and everything. None of those movies, like, they're beloved, but they didn't do well financially. Like, it's like it's like, yeah, it's a great movie, but I didn't see it, in theaters. Like, so many people are like that. So, I mean, we've talked a lot about this, but it's just, as it stands right now, the $8.4 million it's made on its opening weekend and the predicted $22 million for the 3-day weekend, not looking good thus far, which is kind of a shame.